Do you think he's actually on a hot seat with ownership? Like, what's your sense of if this guy could actually be removed? I don't think it's realistic for him to just be canned mid-season with COVID
Yeah.
and everything. But
Yeah.
I do think it could if this thing goes sideways the rest of the year, there's a
Yeah.
possibility that changes could be made. I've made the case. I originally compared Jim Benning to a cockroach, like you can't kill the guy, but I felt that was too harsh. He's more like a cat with nine lives, like every time the fans think this is the moment Jim Benning
Yeah.
is going to be fired, he ends up saving his job somehow, whether the ownership gives him a contract extension, the Canucks
Yeah.
have a good season. Like,
Yeah.
remember back in, I think it was February 2018, he got a contract extension. And
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
right after the Canucks drafted Elias Pettersson, right before they drafted Quinn Hughes,
Yeah.
and everyone's losing their minds. Like, what the hell? What the hell?
Yeah.
This guy somehow saved his job. And it just seems like every time, like perfect example this past week, right?
Yeah. That's what I was
Everyone,
gonna say.
people
Yeah.
are saying, oh, if Jim Benning doesn't, if the team doesn't perform well against
Mhm.
Ottawa Senators, this could be it. And what
Mhm.
happens? They win three straight against Ottawa. They're back to 500, and
Yeah.
for the most part, they're back in the playoff race.
Well, look who helped him too. Brandon Sutter, the
Yeah,
guy
it's
that
a
he
boy.
gets so much crap for.
It's a
Brandon
boy.
Sutter gets a hat trick. I'm like, how the hell does Brandon Sutter get a hat trick? You know why? Because he had, like you said, Jim Benning has 9 lives. He had to save his boss. He had to save his boy. But I agree. I mean, I think to your earlier question, he is on the hot seat. But again, he is not going to get fired during the season because what's the point? There's no point firing.
It'd be so
uh,
hard to replace someone like that, like
Yeah,
mid-season with COVID and everything.
yeah. I mean, again, there's a fort. Like you're going to interview people. You're going to interview most of your people probably from the states, just because the landscape population wise, and most of the guys you're probably going to interview are going to be in the states. You got a 14-day quarantine. You fire Jim Benning tomorrow. Like, what is the point? And a new general manager is going to come in. He's not going to do much. Not in the first whatever. Like, say there's 30 games left. He ain't going to change the team much. Whatever he's going to change in the offseason. So to your point, if yes, he's on the hot seat, but like you said originally, if he's going to get fired for this season going sideways, it's going to be in the offseason. So if they miss the playoffs, I would be surprised if he comes back next year. I think they will make a change if they do not make the playoffs. I don't think that makes a difference. I know something TJ we're talking about on the LarschCast last week is like, hey, if he misses it by 2 or 3 points, that's a major difference of him missing it by 15 points. I don't know. The way this fan base reacts and the way, like I said, he's listening, he's watching, he knows they can miss the playoffs by a point on the last game of the year. After how they played last season in the bubble and almost got to the conference finals, anything short of making the playoffs and making at least a somewhat noise, he'll get canned if he misses.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think it is very much black and white with the goals this
Yeah.
season, right? Like if the team in general misses the playoffs, I think it's time for the guy's been around for 7 years at that point, right? Like this
Yeah.
team is his team. Like there's
Yeah.
obviously holdovers like a guy like Alex Edler, but for the most everyone else like are guys he brought in.
Yeah.
So it's tough to say like I need another opportunity if you miss the playoffs this season. But again, you can use a COVID excuse. I can see Jim Benning saying, look, I didn't get a preseason. I didn't
Mm.
get a full off season. I couldn't really make the trades I maybe wanted to because of
Mm.
COVID restrictions. We had a weird schedule. We're playing the same 6 teams all throughout a shortened season. So
Yeah.
I can see, Jim Benning somehow saving his job as well because of COVID. It could go either way, but I do
Yeah.
think there will be real pressure, like way more than we saw this past week after a bad start if they do miss the playoffs.